So, it encodes the fastest, it's super quick, constant variable bit rate, it does a really, really good job. 7 megabits, you know, we were starting to get away with 7.2 and 7.4. Really wasn't much picture difference, probably maybe a little bit, but like you were really pushing to tell. But then occasionally we'd have clients go, it doesn't play on our DVD player. And we've brought it back to 7, and we've been running at 7 for 3 years, I reckon. Never ever had a complaint about any single DVD we've ever burned. Apart from one client, his DVD player had actually blown up. Wasn't our DVD that did it either. Just in case you get a DVD from us one day. The great thing, I guess we're heading down to the Apple script, is we fire off this Apple script. So basically what it does is encodes the MPEG-2. We also create a MPEG-1 layer 2 audio that's muxed in with that MPEG-2. Calls up Toast, throws the MPEG automatically in Toast for us, gets rid of all the menus, puts in the chapter markers and ejects the tray. So really nice and easy for, you know, making a quick DVD. Done a commercial, mark in, mark out, make DVD, trade posts open, stick it in a burns.
You did that with Apple script, you told it to do all those things.
Yep. Unfortunately I can't. Well, it took me longer than half an hour, let's put it that way. It actually took us a fair while because I was pretty rusty on Apple script. It actually is a bit of scripting, and I'd love to give the script out, but it's actually set to our folder structure with our sand and all that, so you'll take it home and it won't work. And for me to rewrite it so it works on everybody's computer is probably a week's worth of work. And then it's going to be buggy and I'm going to get phone calls all the time. Yes, that's automated and it's great and it's lovely. Setting it up like this is, if you want to do a quick DVD, also nice, because what you could do is simply bring up, if I didn't have that script, I could simply bring up Toast. I can stick it on DVD video, and I can grab a file that it created, go straight in, hit burn. It also works with the chapter markers. So if you've got chapter markers, which is the really quick, easy way, rather than having to drag out DV Studio Pro and put in your video and put in your audio and do all that sort of stuff. You know, you just want a plain DVD and you want it good quality and your client's sitting in the room waiting for you to burn it. The longest thing it should take is printing the label, because the DVD printer will print out, get the disc out 3 times before it decides to print on it.
Chris, have you set your chapter markers back in your Final Cut timeline? Or?
Yeah. Chapter markers have to be in Final Cut timeline, and when you're exporting, I don't know how many people here, what we've made a rule of, because we've had some bugs in the past, is we never mark it in and out and send straight to Compressor for several reasons. One, been a few errors in the past, which is not nice when you've already burnt the DVD and printer on, play it back and going, where the hell did that render come from? Final Cut does have a mind of itself. 2, any layering and rendering you've done, when you send straight to Compressor, it ignores and it is actually re-rendering. So it's actually taking longer. So if you've done a heap of rendering in your timeline, you're far better to send it in and out because it's all rendered and export QuickTime, current settings, and then grab that QuickTime and drag it into Compressor. It actually is faster and more reliable. Unless the latest incarnation of Final Cut has fixed those bugs, I doubt it. It seems to get buggier, not better, Final Cut. The most reliable way, we never ever do a compressor straight from Final Cut anymore. We just got caught out too many times. And then it's the render time.
Just a quick question about it. Exploding like that, I don't know if you've noticed, but when you batch export budget QTs from Final Cut, it won't include the chapter markers. Is there, this is me off, because when you are putting, say, files, which you often I do, it's really a pain in the ass to export each one individually.
Yep.
Do you know?
Probably an arrow script you can write for that.
Look, there's, you know, if you want to start talking about bugs in Apple, we're going to be here for a very long time.
But you know, it's just an implementation they haven't put in yet. I mean, it's really bloody annoying.
Yeah, absolutely. No. Apple E, which is my hotkey for exporting, and I export them simply from the timeline. You know, it's just the way I do it now. So, and yes, for that reason.
You can import your chapter markers on a text file in Studio Pro. So the way around that is to create them separately and export.
You can,
but then you batch export all your video.
But then you're spending probably more time doing that than just individually exporting the file.
But there is a way to do it. What I'm saying is you set your chapter markers as you normally would, and then say export text file and chapter markers. DVD Studio Pro will read those. So then you can just do a batch export. Say you have 30 of them.
Did you
go off to lunch?
Is that a quick
then
time, or
the
did
Studio
you
Pro
convert
import
MP2
the
and then
individual
drag the MP2?
That was from that setting.
From the compressor setting.
Yeah, so I've graded the MP, which is a muxed MP2, not just an MP2. So it actually comes up as a .mpeg, which is a muxed MP2. And that's because it's actually already all muxed, it's got the audio layer there. You can drag time to toast.
And then you
toast is not as good a compressor for
so that allows you to do a batch export.
I usually use DVD Studio, but yeah, if that works.
Same good as time.
That's a good way to go.
We used to use DVD Studio all the time, and then we worked out a way of actually getting it into toast, and then we automated it with the script.
Yeah, it's pretty handy.
Yeah, it's, you know what it's like when you're at the end of a session and they're all going, oh cool, come on DVD, and you're like, yeah, cool. It's quicker to do a VHS, so
I'll send it.
Yeah, we'll send it. Yes, for creating DVDs, this is probably, you know, a format that we're going to be creating for a long time. That we've found is the fastest way to do it. It's already muxed, so you don't go through the whole muxing process of DV Studio Pro. Yes, it doesn't do menus, so you've got that whole issue, but you know, 90% of the DVDs we do don't have menus, so it all comes down to whether you guys are creating menus or not. If you're creating menus, you're back in DV Studio Pro. Studio Pro can take that much MP file, it can. So you still can set up just that one encode and still use Compressor as your actual encoding engine for getting it to MPEG, because then you know that every DVD you do, you can just use that. Just drag it straight into DV Studio Pro and both the layers will come up, so you're not going audio, video, and then it should bring across all your chapter markers as well. The only, are we still having an issue where, you know how in Final Cut you can export all markers, chapter markers, and that? It only works with chapter markers still, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah.
I think there's still a bug in what we've found. It seems to go to Studio Pro alright, but if you throw something in Toast that's got something any other than chapter markers only, it won't read the chapter markers. And it has a limit of 99 chapter markers?
Yeah, 99.
99 chapter markers. Once you're over that, there's no more chaptering. It could be an actual DVD.
It's a DVD.
It's a DVD, not a Toast thing. Okay, cool. Is there any... I mean, I've obviously mainly crossed H.264 as a format and DVD and MPEG-1 I've touched on. Is there formats here that other people are using a lot?
MPEG-4.
MPEG-4. Why are you using MPEG-4 over H.264?
Good question. Mainly because compatibility. I find that most people can read an MPEG-4 when I email them that. And this is for doing things like getting clients to view a selection of interview takes, for instance, and what we'll do is upload it to send this file or something like that and download it that way.
Well, exactly the same settings and theories of H.264, obviously. Tell them to upgrade their QuickTime. It was 2 years ago that H.264 came out. But, I mean, look, if it's working, it's fine. It's a format, it's fine. And it's all the same principles, obviously. You know, set up your processors at 1 minute, you know, 1 minute encode at 4 meg or 5 meg, 1 minute encode at 10 meg and whatever, and you know, it's all the same principles. H.264 is better quality because it's the new standard, but MPEG-4 actually was a half decent quality file.